It's time now on KROS for Financial Focus, brought to you by NelsonCorp Wealth Management. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any indices mentioned are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated. A registered investment advisor, Cambridge and NelsonCorp Wealth Management are not affiliated. Cambridge does not offer tax advice. Now here's today's Financial Focus program.
Well, Dave Nelson has made it up the hill. He joins me in studio. I saw you out at the River Queen Clear Creek Amana ball game last week.
Yeah.
We were both impressed by the play of that senior for the Clippers.
She, again, just a solid ball club, but when you have a girl that can light it up like she did, 38 points, Queens put up a great fight. What a great season as far as that they had. I was lucky enough as far as now that I have been in the coaching ranks, I can kind of go around and check out some of the other teams. I used to think these guys were nuts, some of the retired coaches and whatever, and I'd see them show up at my games, and I'm thinking, why are you here? And it just, now I'm one of those guys that's going out there and really enjoying it. And that club, I people have said, what do you like? What don't you like? I said, I like their energy. I said, they compete, and, it's not everybody is willing to do the things that they did. I said, the first step of, and I'm a little biased here since the father works for me, but the Ferguson girl, at 5'6", 5'7", real world, that would, her height, and she's in there competing with some of the bigs and what have you. And there was one play as far as in front of the other team, the Tiffin team's bench, where she just literally dove. And I don't know if I've seen a player do something like that, and just no regard for her safety, and dove for a loose ball. And it was just, you got to be kidding me. So the energy, the effort, it was just there, and it's fun to have teams like that. And through the years, I've had some ball clubs, and I've had some players as far as that really go. And you love the coaching. And again, it's those type of players don't come along every day. And the point guard for them, they've got the off guard, I guess I would probably call her. Man, that girl's feisty, and again, I'm saying this in a very positive way. I like competing as far as myself, and I like to coach kids that love to compete. And that group of girls, they wanted to compete, and they're outclassed as far as when it's all said and done. The odds of them winning that game were pretty low, but you never know, and so that's why you play the game. But yeah, it was a joy to go out there, and again, my expectations were it's going to be a really, really tough game, and the odds of winning are probably pretty low, but you just never know. So it was fun.
I know what play you were talking about when you were talking with Ferguson, and I referenced on air, it looked like she was diving into a pool.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
She just dove for the ball.
Yes, exactly. She just flattened out. It's kind of like that Dennis Rodman, kind of famous play as far as that he had. I've described it to people. I said it's like a defensive lineman in football, that there's a loose football and they're literally diving at it, but they have pads on. They have all kinds of, she had none. She had to be so sore the next couple days. But anyway, that's that. And I love the point guard. That girl just, she's a grinder, and it's just a fun team to watch. And so yeah, I think, positive things for them as far as going forward. I think they're going to have a nice season. My old team, Prince of Peace, had a tough year. Hopefully next year we've got a decent group of 8th graders that are coming in the ranks, and just happen to have one that is mine as far as my oldest granddaughter. She'll be coming into 8th grade next year, and so. Or into 9th grade. If I said 8th grade, I didn't mean that. In 9th grade. She's currently 8th grade. So anyway, so we'll see. So hopefully we have a couple teams in town that can compete and, have some success as far as, on the basketball court. And the guys, hopefully the same. But I'm not going to as many of those games as I am as far as the gals are concerned. So
you got to be careful. Some of those coaches might have you do some scouting for them.
Exactly. Possibility.
We'll talk one more basketball point. You
Sure.
and I referenced this to you, and you agree totally. you get a girl 5'11" to 6'6'1",
Yes.
who can shoot, handle the ball,
Yes.
can be a dominant player
Yes.
in girls basketball.
Yeah, very much so. And again, there's not a lot of them out there. That's why they stand out when they do. And saw this team warming up, and I had some of the Clinton High fans as far as behind me that I know quite well, and I said, boy, we're going to have to get to the hole. We're going to have to draw some fouls as far as on these kids because these girls can shoot. I compared it, and I meant it, that I was watching them do their shooting drills before the game, watching their hands as far as the rotation on the ball, all these little things, and I'm saying this looks like a college team. This looks like the Iowa girls warming up as far as the number of shot attempts versus the number that were being made. And I said, again, there's one thing to be said for nobody's guarding you and whatever. I get all that stuff. Been around the game a long time. I get it. But this team I just knew was going to be tough, and that girl in particular, she was not afraid to go 3-4 feet behind the three-point line and let it rip. And she did early in the game and just set the tone for the entire game. A few of her teammates got into it, and we just had our hands full. But we got it down, and I say down. It was roughly, I think 20-ish, give or take, a lot of the game. Got it down to 13, and, it looked like, man, maybe we can push this thing to single digits and whatever. And so the girls never gave up. And, again, leaving that game, I felt pretty good about it. They're probably all bummed, but I said they really, really fought hard, and there's nothing to be ashamed of as far as that outing.
I was in Des Moines yesterday covering Central DeWitt, and they ran into a player typical of that, a 5'11" sophomore who averages 30 points a ball game. Birmingham is her name for Norwalk.
Norwalk,
and,
okay.
Yeah, she took over the ball game in the second half. She had 10 at the halftime. She ended up with 26 in the game.
Really?
And
no
she
kidding.
put together an 8-point run on her own in the fourth quarter.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, that is tough.
Boy, DeWitt sure has a solid team. I don't know, again, as far as looking at them, I saw them twice this year and said that, there's no real size that they have, but they've got a lot of just people that play well together, and it was fun team to watch as well.
Got a good coach, and that always helps, doesn't it,
yes,
Dave,
it
to
does.
have a good coach?
Exactly.
All right. We're going to take a break for the weather, and then we're going to talk some business.
All right, let's do it.
With Dave Nelson.
Look forward to it.
Our weather brought to you by S. Kelly's Designs.
Watch out for areas of dense fog early this morning. That will burn off by the late morning, revealing cloudy skies for the afternoon. Temperatures today a little bit warmer as we reach the low 50s. For tonight, mostly cloudy skies. Can't rule out a shower late. Overnight lows will be near 40. With your Storm Track 8 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
Right now we have that fog lifting. We're at 38 degrees. Our update brought to you by S. Kelly's Design.
Looking for the perfect gift or custom apparel? Visit S. Kelly's Designs at 242 6th Avenue South in Clinton. They specialize in creating one-of-a-kind, custom-made gifts that wow. Want to personalize a t-shirt, hat, cap, koozie, or shirt? They've got you covered. Whether it's for a special occasion or just because, S. Kelly's Designs makes your ideas come to life with quality and style. S. Kelly's Designs, 242 6th Avenue South, Clinton. Follow them on Facebook.
First Wednesday of the month, so we get to continue to the bottom of the hour with Dave Nelson. Well, it would be an understatement to say that things are in flux right now, not only in the financial world, but in the world.
Really, it's the ripple effect from the world, as you described it, as far as what's taken place, is going to make things very interesting, I think, for the next several weeks, and hopefully just a few weeks. I've been asked numerous times as far as since various publications, various TV segments that we've done, and what's your advice? And historically, it takes 4 to 6 days to kind of sort through this. We're getting close to that fourth day. Today it was reported by the New York Times, I guess, that after the first day that there was a group from Iran that reached out to the CIA as far as to talk about negotiating, and I guess the word came that it's too late. So yeah, it's when you see drones hitting hotels, really expensive hotels in Saudi Arabia and other places, it sure makes you wonder. And there's a lot of people that are trying to get out of the Middle East right now and can't get flights or anything, and who wants to go in the air now as far as knowing what's out there. So it's really crazy times. Again, time will tell whether this was a prudent move or not. There's certainly some arguments for it. This is a horrible regime, and they have been for quite some time. But the ripple effect, as you described, there's a lot of innocent people that are dying, and it's unfortunate. And again, the ripple effect from our standpoint, looking at the investment world, is that account balances don't look as attractive today as they did 2-3 days ago. And so, is this the end? And we're going to, ratchet up as far as from here? Are oil prices going to be, such that the gas prices go up pretty dramatically in the foreseeable future? That probably is going to happen. So, it's anybody's guess for sure what's going to take place. I tell people we're financial advisors. We're not geopolitical experts. We're not military experts, so we don't know. But making rash decisions at this point in time probably doesn't make sense. So subsequently, we're sitting quietly right now. Fortunately, we have a few investments in the portfolio that when stuff like this takes place, they actually do okay. But yeah, it's going to be a wild, I think, several weeks, and even when it's done, I mean, what does Iran look like at that point in time? Are we able to get somebody in there that's, a moderate? They talk about finding that moderate. Does a moderate exist? Are they still alive if they were a moderate in that world? I just can't imagine that if you position yourself as a moderate that you're still alive. So anyway, this is going to be tough. And again, I'm not smart enough to know if this was the right move or not. Again, I love all the experts out there that know. What I don't like, and I'm pretty vocal about this, is this tough guy mentality that, we hear as far as some of the leaders, as far as that, they just act like tough guys. Tough guys, it doesn't cut it, because there's a lot of ripple effect that affects the small guy, the little man, as far as out there, and I'm not a big fan of that.
And it brings to point the global aspect now of the financial world. I mean, it has been that way for some time, but now you certainly see it coming to the forefront with what is taking place in the Middle East.
So big picture, last year, international investments actually outperformed most U.S. What are called indexes. So just kind of like the S&P and the Dow and the Nasdaq. First year for a long time that took place. This year we're starting out to having spectacular returns as far as in international investments. Combination of they're undervalued in comparison to U.S. companies. 1, 2, the dollar's dropping in value, which translates into bigger returns as far as abroad. So you put it all together, and it was a really, really good start. And I'll highlight one in particular as far as South Korea. South Korea was up, give or take, like 40% year to date. I mean, we're not talking 10 years. We're talking about just year to date. They've been crushed over the last couple of years. So what would look like a really nice investing opportunity as far as to invest internationally, and more specifically as far as in Asia, and South Korea, even drilling down more, in a very short period of time has disappeared as far as much of that return. Not back down to ground zero, but getting closer as far as to it. So these moves happen, and they happen quickly. And again, time will tell as far as how long it takes to unfold. But the type of investments that we're big fans of, and I'll say this and try to make it as easy to comprehend as possible. Growth investments have worked over the last 10, 15 years. And growth investments are primarily, you'd say technology generically is probably, a way of thinking about it. And then you have the other stuff that we call value stocks. And that would be kind of a lot of the other boring type stuff, the companies that aren't, cutting edge and excitement, but they just put out product year after year and people buy it, et cetera, et cetera. So as I would explain to people, they said, well, what's the main difference that you see in us understanding it? And I said, think of value investments as falling off the front porch. So the market turns upside down. Yes, they're going to probably go down too, but it's like falling off the front porch. You can kind of survive that one. It's not going to feel good, but you'll be okay. Growth investments, basically it's like falling off the roof. And you're going to get roughed up, and you're going to get roughed up in a big way. And generally speaking, in that example, it's quick. And boy, are we seeing that now as far as many of these growth investments, the AI type stocks, the international companies that were in technology. These companies are down 20 and 30 and 40% in like 2 to 3 days. So it's important to be careful, folks, as far as in investing. It's important to somewhat understand what you're buying and the pros and the cons. We had a gentleman drive over from Chicago yesterday as far as to meet with us. He's a friend of a friend that made his way as far as into the office. And I spent probably a half an hour telling him everything that can go wrong. And I have one client in particular that likes to refer to me when he comes in for a meeting as Negative Nelly. So what are we going to talk about today, Negative Nelly? Last name being Nelson. Nelly, what are we going to talk about? My response to him is always the same, is that there's a difference between being negative and telling the truth. And this person said he had spoken to 3 people as far as in the Chicago area, as far as this was a pretty good sized account that this gentleman has as far as his assets, and said they felt a little slippery. He didn't hear anything come out of their mouth about what can go wrong. And he appreciated as far as me spending the time that I did as far as explaining what can go wrong. So again, it's not to depress people. It's basically to try to say this stuff doesn't always go up. And boy, are people seeing it now if they had the wrong stuff as far as in their portfolio. Don't do anything, irrational right now. But yes, it could get worse, probably will get worse. It's just a question of how much worse, and is it worth making a proactive move out, not knowing when to get back in. And that's the concern as far as, for the average person that's out there.
I always like how you explain things as opposed to falling off the front porch as opposed to falling off the roof.
Yes.
I mean, that explains it pretty well.
I think so. And again, it's people, stocks, bonds, our analogy there is bond is like renting as far as a house. What's nice about it is you don't have to worry about, the toilet's broken or the roof needs to be replaced. No big issues, but you don't have any upside because you don't own the house. Owning the house, yeah, that's pretty cool over a period of time. That's probably a pretty good move, but everything doesn't always go right. Sometimes the furnace needs to be replaced. Sometimes the roof needs to be replaced. So that's a good way to think about the difference between stocks and bonds. Bonds are relatively safe as far as your principal is concerned. Stocks, not so much. Stocks over a period of time historically have paid you probably 2, maybe even 3 times what you're going to make in bonds. Look at those numbers, folks. Compound that over a period of time. It's dramatic as far as the difference. So most of the folks out there listening need both. It's just a question of how much do I have in this bucket versus this bucket. And again, to me, I do this literally 24 hours a day, folks, and I'm not exaggerating. I dream about this weird stuff, and I have trouble keeping up. So when I hear somebody, wander in and think they've got a pretty good grasp on things, I haven't met that person, I guess, is the bottom line. This is a tough business, and again, it takes discipline, and it takes an individual where they are able to remove emotions and make logical decisions. And that's really, really tough for people to do.
Again, we're visiting with Dave Nelson of NelsonCorp Wealth Management. Got about another 4 minutes left in the program. So how do you convince someone not to take their money, put it in a jar, and bury it in the backyard?
Yeah, and it's really hard. And I'll give you it's the worst scenario that I've ever experienced in 40 plus years. And it was down at St. Ambrose. And it's a really, really nice couple. I've now worked with them for probably about 10, 12 years. But day one when we met, so we met in 2010. 2000, I'll bring you back, folks, real quick here. 2007, 2008, 2009, the market got the heck beat out of it. The S&P is down, give or take, 58%. This individual had his money in stocks as far as through the 401k, like a lot of people. He took the ride down. In 2009, he said, I just can't take it anymore. This thing's going to go to zero. Sold basically at the bottom and put the money into a guaranteed account, paying at that point in time roughly 4%, and missed out on the massive run that we've had as far as in stocks during that window after he sold to the time that we met. And so there's an example of not putting the money in the jar in the backyard, but yet, again, having a plan, having a strategy. And most people don't have a plan. They don't have a sell discipline. Somebody comes in off the street, one of the early questions that flies out of my mouth is, what's your sell discipline? They don't have one, clearly. Nobody does, pretty much. But I want to challenge them as far as in that. Then I want to challenge them on the next one. And what is your advisor's sell discipline? Because this idea of just writing it out is just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. You put your money in, over time you're going to be okay. And I can give you example after example that's not always the case. And in the U.S., if you bought the NASDAQ in the year 2000 at the peak, and you took the ride down of 82%, it took you 16 years, folks, to get back your money. Now, just write it out. That is just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. So again, you got to be careful. You got to think about it. You have to have a plan before you invest, and it's got to be disciplined, and you follow the rule set. And again, most individuals in this industry don't have that. It's clearly most people that walk in the door don't have that, and that's basically, I think, why we've had the success that we've had. We follow a very disciplined approach.
Always been impressed by your passion.
That or being a loudmouth. I don't know which.
Oh, no. I mean, there is no doubt that you enjoy what you do.
Sure.
And you enjoy helping people benefit from what you do.
True story, yes. A lot of people out there need help. They don't have an extra, as I put it, an extra million or two sitting around that they don't need. Whatever they have is really important to them, and we need to understand that. And we tell people, I'll wrap it up with this, Gary, sorry, but we tell people all the time, nobody cares about your money as much as you do, but we're a close second because we jump in the boat with them. We succeed as they succeed. We suffer when they suffer. So it's a nice marriage as far as that we create with our clients.
No fooling. We'll talk to you again on April 1st.
Oh, yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Financial Focus is a production of NelsonCorp Wealth Management in Clinton and Davenport. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any indices mentioned are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and NelsonCorp Wealth Management are not affiliated. Cambridge does not offer tax advice. For more information, visit our website at www.nelsoncorp.com.
Coming up on the next John Tesh